Good morning, everyone. Con artists are using real people's names and photos without their knowledge to create fake social media profiles. From April to June this year, Facebook removed more than 1.7 billion fake accounts from its site. Dr. Tara Narula shows us how scam artists are causing big problems for people, including someone close to her.
Okay.
This is Petty Officer Mike Sensi and his dog Lucy. But go online and it's difficult to find Mike Sensi.
Do you have any idea how many fake Mikes there may be out there using your picture?
Too many. I would probably say, 500-600 over the different social media platforms.
About 5 or 6 years ago, he started seeing his real name and images used on fake social media accounts for dating scams and other online cons.
Every single day I get a message from somebody who has been, duped out of money.
And he's not alone. One night, my husband received an Instagram message from a woman in Brazil. She said she was speaking with a man calling himself Ryan, but later realized something was wrong, and it was. The photos were of my husband and my kids, and they were being used for an apparent scam.
How easy is it to create a fake account?
It's really easy. It's a little too easy.
Issy Lepowski is chief correspondent for the tech news website Protocol.
So let's pick a username.
She showed us how to create an account using just an email address, fake name, and the image of one of our CBS News producers.
Okay, and here's Randy Lewis, 555-212.
And here we are.
And while reporting fake accounts on Instagram is easy,
To go up to these 3 dots right here, you're going to click report user.
And that's it.
That's it.
Mike Sensi says it doesn't always work.
When it first started happening, Instagram was really good about deleting the profiles, but it kind of went away. I'll report on myself and they literally message back and say, oh, they're not doing anything wrong, we can't take the profile down.
Instagram told us, quote, claiming to be another person on Instagram violates our community guidelines, and we have a dedicated team that's tasked with detecting and blocking these kinds of scams. Dr. Tara Narula, CBS News, New York.
Change on the horizon for Facebook. The company behind the social media network is about to undergo a corporate refresh. Tech publication The Verge reporting Facebook is planning to rebrand itself with a new name focused on the metaverse. Jen Sullivan has a closer look at what the metaverse is and why some content creators are hesitant about the name switch.
Facebook is reportedly about to give itself a new name, according to The Verge. It's expected to announce the rebrand next week as the tech giant works to fend off a scandal and mounting criticism from regulators.
Whether positive, negative, or otherwise, the associations with the Facebook app are hard to distinguish from a company that has ambitions to represent much more than that.
And content creators are anxiously awaiting to find out how the possible changes may impact them.
This is not just a small change, this is a huge change.
Business owners like Julie Alma Taveras, who relies on the platform to find clients, are bracing to pivot.
The fact that they are planning on changing and it's becoming a whole different business model altogether is definitely something that I don't think anybody will essentially be prepared for.
Facebook also owns Instagram and WhatsApp. Brand strategist Jake Hancock says the name change could position the 3 platforms under an umbrella brand, similar to Google's structure, which sits under parent company Alphabet.
For Facebook, that's going beyond social media and getting into the metaverse. I think this is more about broadening expectations of a company than overcoming reputational concerns.
Back in August, Facebook launched a beta version of Horizon Workrooms, a virtual reality workspace for team meetings. Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg has said he sees Facebook's future in the virtual reality metaverse, which combines virtual and augmented reality in a new online realm. For today's Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
And Facebook is expected to announce the new name next week at their annual Connect conference, and that is on October the 28th. I can't wait to see. All right, scientists in New York are reporting a breakthrough in organ transplantation. They have successfully transplanted a pig kidney into a human body. CBS News chief medical correspondent Dr. John LaPook talked with the doctor leading this research.
It's a first. Researchers at NYU Langone Health successfully transplanted a pig kidney into a human body donated to science.
We were sort of taking in what we were looking at which was incredible. It was a kidney that was immediately functioning.
Dr. Robert Montgomery says the kidney came from a genetically engineered pig that was modified so the human body would not reject the pig organ. The breakthrough comes at a time when there are not nearly enough organs for patients who need them. 90,000 people in the United States are currently on the national transplant list waiting for a kidney. The average wait time for a kidney from a deceased donor is 3 to 5 years. Dr. Montgomery has been imagining this moment for years.
When you hear yourself say that, are you thinking this is science fiction, or do you think, oh yeah, of course, that's what we do now?
Yeah, it's kind of normalized in my mind because I've been thinking about it for a very long time. So it doesn't seem futuristic. It seems like the future's here now.
A future where patients won't die waiting for a life-saving transplant. Dr. John LaPook, CBS News, New York.
Finding the best childcare is a challenge, but what if that provider can no longer keep children? That story is ahead on Mid-Morning. Welcome back, everyone. The pandemic and low wages have made things worse for families and childcare providers. Parents are struggling to get help, especially care that they can afford. At the same time, daycares say it's hard to find and keep staff. Meg Oliver reports from Montana.
It's the most devastating decision I've ever had to make in my life.
Cindy Motes never imagined that after more than 35 years in business, she would be forced to close her daycare. Her facility serves around 100 kids in Billings, Montana. Motes cannot find and keep staff. Before the pandemic, she had around 35 to 40 employees. Now she says she's down to about 15, not enough to stay open.
I can only do so much when I can't get a workforce. I can't do this job to my expectation or anybody's expectation without a workforce.
A survey from the National Association for the Education of Young Children found that 4 in 5 daycares nationwide are understaffed. 78% of those surveyed said low wages are the main reason it's hard to recruit new employees.
How hard is it to find affordable childcare?
It is extremely hard. If you don't have a job, then you can't afford to have childcare while you're looking for one. If you get a job, you have to have childcare almost immediately so that you can start, but there aren't any spaces available.
Sarah Smith works at Explore Montessori and Academy in Bozeman, Montana.
1, 2, 3, go!
Her 3-year-old daughter attends daycare here. In return, Smith gets an almost 30% discount for her child care.
If you're paying for child care, you can't save for college for your child. There's things that you can get that your kids might need. Trips and vacations, all of that gets put on hold when you have a kid in daycare.
According to the U.S. Treasury Department, parents of children under 5 years old pay on average around $10,000 a year for child care. Families currently need to devote about 13% of their income to child care, a number the U.S. Treasury considers unaffordable for most. Smith is grateful for her job, where her salary is around double the average for daycare workers in the state. But she has a master's degree and is a teacher by trade, a career she's put on hold to afford child care.
What are you qualified to make?
In Bozeman, between $65 and $70 a year.
And right now you're bringing in?
40.
40. Mm-hmm. Is that kind of a gut punch?
It hurts a little bit.
Jessica Dane is the owner of Explore Academy, where Smith works. She's committed to staying open, which means she's had to raise the price she charges families. To retain staff, she has to pay them competitively.
What kind of competition are you facing in terms of salaries out there right now?
Well, it's very terrifying to have a weekend because often my staff will go to a social event and just get offered $5 more an hour.
What kind of jobs are they leaving for?
Honestly, a few have left to work in marijuana grow places. Mm-hmm. That kind of breaks my heart because I'm like, I could really use their skills and their love and their passion with children, and the idea of that they're picking buds is kind of bums me out.
The child care system was never working. It was never working for those that relied on it in order to put food on the table. It was never working for those who used it as a career.
Chastity Lord is the president and CEO of Jeremiah Program, which helps disrupt poverty by supporting single moms and their children. She said child care is a social justice, economic, and community issue.
90% of child care workers are women. 50% of those are women of color. Their average pay is $12 an hour. The average pay for someone literally serving coffee in our country is $15 an hour. And so you are having people who sit at the nexus of a child's development who are literally working poor.
Back in Billings, Montana, Moats is closing Discovery Daycare and Preschool at the end of the month.
It's really hard to look at a parent and know that they don't have anywhere to take their kids, and they still have to go to work.
Megan Strickland is one of them. She attended the daycare as a child, and now her almost 2-year-old daughter goes here.
We don't have a plan yet. I don't know what we'll do. I have to stay working. That's not an option for our family.
Strickland is a nurse and pregnant with her second child. She's devastated by the daycare closing.
I don't know what has to change, but something has to change. Something's got to give at some point.
Meg Oliver, Bozeman, Montana.
Just ahead, keeping Navy planes fueled and flying. We'll show you what the military is testing to make it more efficient when we come back. Military exercise in the Western Pacific this month. U.S. warships sailing alongside Allied ships highlights the growing concern over China's military buildup. The Secretary of the Navy now says China is the most significant long-term challenge for the U.S. military. The response includes a new effort to support aircraft carriers, a symbol of U.S. military power for nearly a century. David Martin shows us how the Navy is testing crewless aircraft that could give its planes a much longer range.
An F-18 fighter comes up behind an airplane known as the MQ-25 and makes aviation history, the first ever aerial refueling from an unmanned aircraft. A game of inches played at 250 miles per hour.
This is the first time looking over at where a cockpit and a person should be and just seeing nothing but more airplane.
Lieutenant William Peabody was flying that F-18. Did it make you uneasy?
A little at first, because when you're flying another manned aircraft, there's an inherent level of trust you have with that aircrew. But we don't have that so far with MQ-25.
Until now, the Navy has used other F-18s fitted with fuel tanks under their wings as flying gas stations for their carrier aircraft. It's a waste of a high-performance jet designed for combat, which is one reason Rear Admiral Brian Corey is leading a crash program to switch to unmanned fueling with the MQ-25.
And what's it carrying inside there? Almost all gas. It doesn't burn much itself, and it can give most of that gas away to our fighters. So this is where the fuel comes out? This is the business end.
The MQ-25 carries enough gas to double the range of today's carrier aircraft, including the Navy's newest F-35. That matters because countries like China are building land-based missiles capable of striking aircraft carriers, forcing them to stay further and further out to sea.
The whole point of this airplane is to extend the range of the carrier striking power.
Refueling from an MQ-25 is the easy part. The hard part is putting it on a carrier flight deck.
When the wings are spread, it's about 80 feet, and that's just about the maximum you can get on an aircraft carrier.
An unmanned aircraft in the midst of the high-octane ballet that takes place on a flight deck every time planes take off and land. Each plane has to be in the right place at the right time. Being off by even a little could send one over the side.
Every airplane relies for its final safety check for someone looking out the window and making sure you don't run into an airplane. We don't have that.
The MQ-25 is practicing carrier operations at this landlocked airfield in Illinois, where the plane's maker Boeing has painted the outline of a carrier deck. It's being controlled by the man in the green shirt using that console on his forearm. He's following signals from the man in the yellow vest who is directing the MQ-25 as it moves about the field.
The flight deck of a carrier is one of the most dangerous work environments in the world.
Lieutenant Commander Eric Smith is working with a simulator launching an MQ-25 from a virtual deck. Keenan Aiken is at the controls, taking his cues from a virtual man in yellow.
If you can play a game console, you'll be able to operate this deck control device. He's telling it which way to turn based off the hand signals given by the yellow shirt. Right now, he's doing the wing spread symbol, so you're going to see the wings spread here shortly.
Once the MQ-25 takes off, it flies a pre-programmed route to its refueling station, where it would top off the tanks of the carrier's combat aircraft. Starting in 2025, the Navy plans to put 5 MQ-25s, costing about $100 million apiece, on every aircraft carrier.
This drone is about a lot more than just aerial refueling. It is about finding a new way to operate from an aircraft carrier. And finding a way for aircraft carriers to be able to survive. To remain relevant is what I would say, and yes, survive.
If the MQ-25 works, it's only a matter of time before the Navy puts more unmanned aircraft on its carriers to carry out strikes against heavily defended targets where manned aircraft could not survive. David Martin, CBS News, The Pentagon.
Coming up, a lesson in kindness on a Pee Wee football field. That story when Mid-Morning comes right back. All right, we're back, everyone. Team sports for most children is an opportunity to learn about working together, supporting one another, and taking the wins and the losses. But for two very young teams, one from Webster County and the other from Caledonia, the lesson learned during one recent game is that sometimes being kind is the best accomplishment of all. Our Stephen Pempo has the highlights.
Scoring your first touchdown is a special moment for any player, but it's usually not something that both teams celebrate, let alone draw up a play for.
I just told my quarterback and center, I said, hey man, y'all fumble the ball and he's going to pick it up and he's going to take it to the house.
I kind of brought him up to the line. I said, Junior, I said, man, if you see the ball, get the ball.
We didn't care about the score. The score didn't have anything to do with it right now. All that mattered was him getting the touchdown.
I like my good game. Like his touchdown. In my head. He said makes him happy.
Meet Robert Watkins Jr., a 13-year-old from Maben who everyone knows as just Junior.
Man, Junior, man, Junior like a spark plug, man. I mean, he come out here, you know, you having down days. Man, that kid just brightens you up, man. He brightens your day up.
Junior is developmentally delayed, has partial deafness and asthma, but he's also a football player for the Webster County Bulldogs.
He tried to do what the other kids do.
Junior's mother, Liskandra, says she was nervous at first when Junior told her he wanted to strap on a helmet and pads and join his younger brother Zaylin on Coach James Davidson's new 11-12 Pee Wee football team.
I filled out the form for Zaylin. I wasn't too sure about Junior at first, but he wanted to play, so I wasn't going to take that from him.
Coach Davidson had some of the same concerns.
I don't want nothing to happen to him, so I was kind of telling his mother that, and she was like, Coach, you know, I just want him to be normal. Him being out here with them boys would be good for him.
There you go. Sign up. It didn't take long for Junior to become part of the team. While he might not participate in every drill, Coach Davidson says he's never afraid to lay a hit or dive right into the middle of a pile.
He usually want to rush the quarterback.
As the season got underway, Liskandra and Coach Davidson wanted to find a way to get Junior involved on game days. During weeks 2 and 3, opposing coaches were more than happy to let Junior run around on the field with their teams after the games were over. But Coach Jason Counts of Caledonia had other ideas. The Cavaliers were up 22-0 on the Bulldogs when Coach Davidson approached Coach Counts about Junior.
And I said, Coach, I just don't think I can agree to that. And he just kind of looked at me and I said, it don't count if it's after the game. It only counts if it's in the game and it goes on that scoreboard. And so I told him, I said, with a couple minutes left, that's when we're going to do it. We're going to let him score a touchdown.
And that's exactly what Junior did, taking off for a 56-yard scoop and score to give Webster County their first and only points of the game.
I was on the sideline actually cheering my baby on because I'm his #1 fan. If he don't hear nobody else, he's going to hear his mama. Go, Junior, go.
But she certainly wasn't the only one cheering.
I just wanted to just run up there, and hug him and grab him, because it was just it felt like they won the game, and, into him, he did.
After battling against each other for about 59 minutes, players and coaches for Caledonia and Webster County were all part of a single team as they celebrated with Junior in that end zone.
It felt like we won a Super Bowl. I was excited. We were all jumping around. We were all huddling around him, smacking him on his pads.
Oh, man. It was awesome. It was awesome. And then they even gave him the game ball. Oh, my. He loved that ball.
While it was only week 4, for both teams, it was the crowning moment of their seasons.
Whatever happens the rest of this season, whether we win the championship or not, it does not matter. In my opinion, the championship was won last Saturday when this happened.
For Coach Davidson, it was a reminder of the power that a few white lines on a green field can have.
For just these 2 to 3 hours that we all together, man, for him to be one of us, run, play, jump, catch, that's special, man.
Liscandra's hope was that football could give her son a few moments to experience an ordinary childhood. Instead, Junior got to show everyone that he is extraordinary. In Caledonia, Stephen Pimpo, WCBI News.
And Coach Davidson told Stephen that since that game against Caledonia, Junior is constantly asking when he will get the ball again, of course, just like any other player. Great story. We'll be right back to wrap things up. All right, be sure you stay connected with us. We'd love to hear from you. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We'll see you back here next time.